Forgotten beginnings. Earth was a whisper in the grand cosmic symphony, a backwater planet overshadowed by sprawling interstellar empires that ruled entire star systems with fleets of warships and fleets of diplomats. Once a proud cradle of humanity, Earth had become little more than a relic, a forgotten pawn in the game of galactic politics. The United Earth Federation's capital was a city of glass towers and buzzing hoverways, yet even here the weight of insignificance hung heavy in the air. News feeds were dominated by stories from the Andronis Empire, the Varkari Dominion, and other colossal powers. Earth's own navy, a small collection of outdated ships, was barely worth a mention. But deep beneath the surface, hidden away in a restricted military complex, was Earth's last hope, the USS Dauntless. Once a beacon of human ingenuity, the Dauntless had been a prototype warship conceived decades earlier, designed to be humanity's edge in a future conflict. Its cutting-edge technologies were unlike anything in service elsewhere. But politics, budget cuts, and a general skepticism had buried the project, leaving the ship to gather dust in its drydock. Commander Elara Finch stared up at the hull of the Dauntless as she stepped onto the ship's gangway. Her jaw was set with determination. The ship was sleek, a marvel of engineering with smooth armor plates and an almost organic shape. It was built for speed, stealth, and firepower, everything Earth lacked. Elara, a voice crackled over her comlink. It was Captain Rivas, her commanding officer, pragmatic and wary. "Are you sure this old prototype can handle the Velar Dominion? Their fleet is massive." Elara met his gaze, her voice steady. "It's the only ship that can. The Velar fleet outnumbers us 10-1. We need an edge. This ship is that edge." The Velar Dominion had been advancing steadily into human-claimed space for months. Their intent was clear: subjugate or destroy anything in their path. Earth's defenses were feeble in comparison, and political leaders hesitated, hoping diplomacy would buy more time. But the Velar's ultimatum was clear: surrender or be wiped out. Inside the Dauntless, Elara walked through the corridors lined with humming consoles and glowing screens. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly, calibrating weapon systems and running diagnostics. At the heart of the ship was Aegis, the ship's AI, an adaptive intelligence designed to coordinate combat tactics and assist the crew in real time. "Elara, the AI is running system checks," Lieutenant Park reported. "Weapons are primed, shields at optimal levels, stealth field functional but untested under combat conditions." Elara nodded. "Good. We'll need every advantage. This isn't just a test run anymore." Her mind flashed back to the countless meetings and battles she'd fought just to get the Dauntless reactivated. Political leaders called it a gamble, a relic of old Earth arrogance. The military brass were divided, some believing it was a suicide mission. But Elara refused to let Earth's last hope fade quietly into history. The Dauntless crew was a mix of the best Earth had: engineers who had helped build the ship, pilots trained in simulation tanks, and scientists who understood the fragile technology that powered the ship's weapons. They were nervous but determined. "We can't afford to lose this ship," Elara told her assembled crew during the pre-mission briefing. "If the Velar think Earth is weak, they'll keep pushing. But if we show them what humanity is capable of, we might just change the course of this war." Her words echoed through the dimly lit hangar bay, inspiring a flicker of hope in tired eyes. Outside, the stars were indifferent, cold pinpricks of light against the void. But for the first time in years, Earth was ready to stand and fight. As the Dauntless powered up its engines, sensors flared to life, scanning the vast emptiness ahead. The ship was a ghost, designed to slip past enemy lines unnoticed. But more than stealth, it had firepower that could cripple entire fleets if wielded with precision. Elara took her seat on the command bridge. The crew snapped to attention, and the ship's AI, Aegis, greeted her in a calm, measured voice. "Commander Finch, all systems nominal. Awaiting your orders." Elara took a deep breath. "Aegis, set course for the Velar fleet. Engage stealth protocols. Prepare weapons for immediate deployment." The ship vibrated softly beneath her. This moment felt like the culmination of everything Earth had ever built, fought for, and dreamed of. The Dauntless, long forgotten, overlooked, and underestimated, was ready to show the galaxy what Earth could do. The war was coming, and humanity was ready to fight. Awakening the Dauntless. The hangar bay lights dimmed as the USS Dauntless hummed to life. The ship was more than metal and circuits. It was a living nexus of human ingenuity, ambition, and hope. After years of neglect, the long-dormant prototype warship was finally ready to face the void. Commander Elara Finch stood on the bridge, her gaze sharp as the ship systems flickered and aligned. Around her, the crew moved with purpose, each member an expert in their field, handpicked from Earth's best. Some were veterans of minor skirmishes. Others were brilliant scientists who had helped breathe life back into the ship's experimental technology. Lieutenant Marcus Park, the ship's lead engineer, tapped rapidly on his console. All power nodes are online. The fusion core is stable, and energy distribution to the stealth generators is optimized. Good, Elara said. How's the AI performing under load? Park glanced at his screen. Aegis is adapting faster than expected. It's learning from simulations, updating tactical models on the fly. But it's still untested in real combat scenarios. Elara nodded. That was the one unknown. Aegis, the ship's brain, was a sophisticated, self-learning AI designed to think and react faster than any human. It controlled everything from navigation to weapon systems, and its algorithms could analyze enemy patterns in real time. But all that brilliance meant little if the enemy was stronger or more ruthless. Prepare the drone swarms for launch, Elara ordered. Let's see how they perform in the simulation. The bridge's holoscreen flickered to life, displaying a virtual battlefield. Tiny, sleek drones darted forward, their AI-guided flight patterns weaving through a dense array of enemy defenses. The drones struck with precision, disabling simulated enemy turrets in rapid succession. The crew exchanged impressed glances. The drone swarm was a game-changer, fast, coordinated, and lethal. Suddenly, a sharp alert echoed through the bridge. Incoming communication from Earth Command, Park announced. Elara tapped her comm. Go ahead. The voice crackled through. General Corrin, the Federation's top military strategist, sounded grim. Commander Finch, the Velar Dominion fleet is approaching Earth's outer system. Intelligence reports suggest they're preparing for a full-scale assault within 72 hours. Elara's jaw tightened. Understood, General. We're ready to engage. Good. Earth is counting on the Dauntless and your crew. If this ship fails, so does humanity. The transmission ended abruptly. The weight of those words pressed heavily on Elara's shoulders. The Dauntless was Earth's last line of defense. The Velar fleet was enormous. Hundreds of warships armed with devastating plasma cannons, swarms of fighter drones, and shield generators that could withstand conventional attacks. Elara glanced at the tactical display. The Velar were fast, aggressive, and utterly ruthless. Diplomacy had failed. Earth's fate now rested on a single prototype warship and its unproven crew. Prepare for departure, she ordered. We'll take the fight to them before they reach Earth's orbit. The engines thrummed louder, the ship's stealth field shimmering as it activated. The Dauntless slipped silently into the darkness of space, a ghost ship hunting a shadowy enemy. The bridge crew worked seamlessly, Aegis continuously processing data streams, predicting enemy moves. Elara leaned into the command chair, feeling the surge of adrenaline and responsibility. Captain, I'm detecting multiple Velar ships ahead, approximately 150 kilometers, Park reported. Their formation is tight, likely a scouting fleet. Elara's eyes narrowed. Aegis, initiate stealth approach and prepare long-range scanners. We need every advantage. The ship glided through the void, invisible and silent. Then, just beyond the sensor range, the Velar ships materialized, hulking vessels bristling with weapons, their hulls glowing faintly with energy shields. Elara took a breath. This is it. Initiate attack sequence Alpha. The Dauntless surged forward, launching drone swarms to harass the Velar vanguard. Electromagnetic pulse cannons fired in rapid bursts, disabling shields and crippling weapon systems. The ship's advanced targeting AI pinpointed weak spots on the enemy vessels, guiding missiles and plasma charges with unerring precision. The Velar were caught off guard. Their ships faltered as the Dauntless struck with deadly efficiency, breaking apart several cruisers before they could mount a coordinated counterattack. Maintain pressure, Elara commanded. Keep the drones swarming and the pulse cannons firing. Despite the shock of the surprise assault, the Velar quickly regrouped, sending fighter drones to intercept the Dauntless' own. The bridge was a whirlwind of activity, piloting commands, weapons targeting, damage control. Aegis's voice cut through the tension. Commander, shield integrity at 70%. Recommend evasive maneuvers to avoid missile lock. Elara responded instantly. Execute evasive pattern Delta 7. Engage point defense lasers. The ship twisted and turned with uncanny agility, dodging incoming missiles while its laser turrets shredded approaching enemy drones. Minutes felt like hours as the battle raged. The Dauntless was proving its worth, a tiny beacon of hope against overwhelming odds. Finally, the Velar vanguard began to retreat, their ships limping away from the assault. The Dauntless had dealt a crushing blow to their reconnaissance fleet. Elara exhaled, her voice steady but fierce. We've shown them we're not defenseless. Now, we prepare for the real fight. The crew exchanged weary but determined looks. The prototype warship was awakening, not just a machine, but a symbol that Earth refused to be crushed quietly. Elara sat back in her chair, eyes fixed on the stars beyond. The battle was just beginning, but for the first time in years, Earth had a fighting chance. Battle of the Silent Void. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before the USS Dauntless. Commander Elara Finch gripped the edge of her command chair, eyes fixed on the tactical displays glowing faintly in the dim bridge. The Velar Dominion's main fleet had arrived, a colossal armada that dwarfed anything Earth had ever faced. Hundreds of warships, arranged in deadly formation, their shields shimmering with raw energy. The moment had come. Elara, Lieutenant Park reported, voice steady but tense, our stealth systems are holding, but the Velar fleet is actively scanning. If they detect us, it's over. Elara's lips pressed into a thin line. Then we don't get detected. Full silence on all non-essential systems. Aegis, keep us cloaked and monitor their sensor patterns. Understood, Commander, Aegis replied in its calm, unflinching tone. The Dauntless slipped like a shadow through the void, ghosting past the Velar sentinels. The ship's sleek design and stealth field made it nearly invisible, but Elara knew the slightest mistake could reveal them. Suddenly, a faint blip appeared on the sensor, a Velar patrol cruiser, scanning with heightened sensitivity. Evasive maneuver Delta 4, Elara ordered, voice low. The ship adjusted its trajectory by fractions of a degree, remaining just out of detection range. The tension on the bridge was palpable. This was more than a battle, it was a game of cat and mouse, a test of patience and precision. Elara, target coordinates locked on the Velar flagship, Park announced. It's heavily shielded and surrounded by escort frigates. Good, Elara said. We hit the flagship first. Disrupt their command and control. Aegis, prepare drone swarms for deployment. The drone bays hissed open, releasing hundreds of tiny, AI-controlled fighters. They dispersed like a swarm of mechanical hornets, invisible until they struck. With a nod from Elara, the Dauntless launched its first salvo, electromagnetic pulse cannons firing in concentrated bursts. The pulses rippled through space, disabling shield generators on several escort ships. Shields down on 2 frigates, Park confirmed. Missiles locked and firing. The missiles streaked toward their targets, exploding in fiery bursts that tore through the enemy vessels. The Velar fleet was thrown into chaos. Elara, Aegis intoned, enemy counterattack detected. Incoming plasma torpedoes from multiple vectors. Brace for impact, Elara commanded. The Dauntless shuddered as its shields absorbed the first barrage, but the strain was immense. Activate adaptive shielding, Park said urgently. Divert power from engines to reinforce shields. The ship's glowing barriers intensified, rippling like liquid metal. The Dauntless darted through the battlefield, weaving between explosions and debris. Commander, Velar fighters inbound, Park warned. They're fast and numerous. Elara clenched her fists. Deploy point defense lasers and launch interceptor drones. The bridge filled with the hum of weapon systems activating. Laser turrets tracked incoming fighters with deadly precision, while interceptor drones engaged in rapid dogfights. Aegis's voice was calm amidst the chaos. Commander, suggestion, target the flagship's rear engines. Disable their mobility to isolate it. Elara nodded sharply. Fire plasma torpedoes on my mark. Wait for the opening. The battle raged, each second a test of skill and endurance. The Dauntless crew moved in perfect sync, their trust in one another and their ship unwavering. Suddenly, a gap appeared in the velar formation, a momentary vulnerability. "Now!" Elara shouted. Plasma torpedoes launched in unison, streaking toward the flagship's rear engines. The explosions rocked the enemy ship, flames licking across its hull. "Engines offline," Park reported. "Flagship is crippled." Without its flagship's command, the velar fleet began to falter. Confusion spread through their ranks as the Dauntless pressed the advantage. "Prepare for boarding party," Elara said. "If we can capture their command systems, we can cripple their fleet." The Dauntless moved closer, launching magnetic grapples and boarding drones. Elara's heart pounded. This was a bold move, dangerous but potentially decisive. The boarding team breached the velar flagship's hull, encountering fierce resistance. Elara watched the feed as human marines fought in narrow corridors, pushing toward the command bridge. "Commander, the velar admiral has been located," the boarding leader reported. "We have visual confirmation." Elara's eyes narrowed. "Take him alive. We need intel." Back on the Dauntless bridge, the remaining velar ships began retreating. Their command structure fractured, their morale shattered by the audacity and efficiency of a single human warship. Elara exhaled slowly, a mix of exhaustion and triumph washing over her. "We've won this battle," she said softly. "But the war is far from over." The Dauntless had proven that Earth was no longer a helpless backwater. Against overwhelming odds, humanity had fought back, with courage, innovation, and sheer determination. As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the viewport, Elara felt a spark of hope ignite. This was only the beginning. A new dawn for Earth. The silence aboard the USS Dauntless was almost surreal after the chaos of battle. Commander Elara Finch stood on the bridge, watching as the remnants of the velar fleet retreated into the dark expanse of space. The stars beyond seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging the small but fierce ship that had turned the tide. The victory was unprecedented. Against overwhelming odds, Earth's overlooked prototype warship had shattered the velar Dominion's largest fleet. The galaxy was beginning to take notice. Earth was no longer just a forgotten backwater. "Elara," Lieutenant Park said quietly, breaking the silence, "we've sustained damage, but the Dauntless is operational. Repair crews report the fusion core and weapon systems are fully functional." Elara nodded, though her body ached from hours of tension. "Good. We can't afford to be vulnerable if the velar decide to regroup." The Dauntless had become more than a ship. It was a symbol, proof that humanity's ingenuity and spirit could stand against the galaxy's mightiest empires. The news of the battle spread rapidly across Earth's communications networks, igniting a wave of hope and pride. In the Federation's command center, politicians and military leaders convened urgently. The Dauntless' success forced a reckoning. Years of underfunding, neglect, and doubt about Earth's defenses were challenged by the undeniable reality of what one ship and one determined crew could accomplish. General Corrin addressed the assembly, voice resolute. "This battle has changed everything. The prototype warship is proof that Earth can innovate and fight. We must invest in this technology, expand our fleet, and prepare for the conflicts ahead." Elara's victory was celebrated worldwide. She and her crew became heroes, symbols of humanity's resilience. Interviews, awards, and accolades followed, but Elara remained focused on what lay ahead. In her quarters, she reviewed data with Aegis, the ship's AI. Aegis analyzed the velar fleet's retreat patterns and probable next moves. "Analysis complete, Commander. Velar forces will likely regroup at their forward base, approximately 0.4 light-years from here. They will reinforce their defenses and prepare for retaliation." Elara's expression hardened. "We need to be ready. This battle may be over, but the war is just beginning." She stood and walked to the viewport, gazing at the stars where the velar fleet had vanished. "Earth has awakened," she whispered. "And we're not going back into the shadows." Back on the Dauntless, the AI continued to evolve. Aegis processed vast amounts of tactical and strategic data, learning from the battle, improving its algorithms, and preparing for future engagements. The integration between human crew and AI deepened, a partnership that promised to redefine warfare. Meanwhile, Earth began an ambitious rebuilding program. New ships, inspired by the Dauntless design, were commissioned. Scientists worked tirelessly to improve stealth systems, weapons, and AI technology. The Federation strengthened alliances with other human colonies and began training new generations of pilots and engineers. Elara was appointed as lead strategist for Earth's expanding space forces. She traveled between command centers, sharing insights and advocating for innovation and adaptability, the very qualities that had saved Earth. Yet, despite the victories and progress, a shadow lingered. The Velar Dominion was vast and relentless. Their defeat in this battle was a blow, but not a final one. Elara knew they would return, stronger and more determined. One evening, aboard the Dauntless, Elara and Aegis engaged in a rare moment of reflection. "Commander," Aegis said, "your leadership was instrumental. The crew's resilience and your strategic decisions exceeded expectations." Elara smiled faintly. "We all played our part. But the real work begins now. We have to be ready for whatever comes next." Aegis responded, "Affirmative. I will continue to adapt and support the crew to the fullest extent." Elara looked out at the stars, a mix of resolve and hope filling her heart. Earth has a new dawn. Let's make sure it lasts. As the Dauntless powered up its engines to jump to a secure location for repairs and resupply, Elara felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The forgotten prototype had not only destroyed an entire Empire fleet, it had reignited humanity's place in the cosmos. The war was far from over, but Earth had proven it could fight, innovate, and survive. And this was only the beginning.